Now on to our part 2 of our exclusive interview with Ugandan lawmaker Dr. Abed Bwanika. We explore Kenya and Uganda relations, especially on the business front. Kenya and Uganda have plans to extend the standard gauge railway through Malaba to Kampala, with concerns raised over the budgeting and the implications of this mega project on the two countries. Dr. Bwanika believes the two countries' budget may prove short to finance this project, but there are possible outsourced funding plans. Watch.
You know, Kenya has been for so long the first trade partner for Uganda. We do lots of business with Kenya. Kenya is the gateway in terms of Mombasa. In terms of, you have the biggest port for East Africa, and that's where our goods come from. And if we are going to boost the economy of the two countries, the transport infrastructure is very crucial.
Right.
And Kenya has done the standard gauge railway, and in Uganda we are lagging behind. And we hope that our government will find opportunity to invest in that infrastructure. It's a very crucial infrastructure because it's going to lower down the tariffs on transport, which directly affects the doing business in Uganda, the cost of doing business. So we are looking forward to that. It is long overdue. It is a project that is long overdue. In Uganda, we have been handling the meter gauge railway,
yes.
That is ancient, and we hope that we will find money to invest into the standard gauge railway, not only to Kampala. We look forward to a standard gauge railway that will connect up to South Sudan, standard gauge railway that will connect up to DRC Congo, up to Rwanda, and up to northern Tanzania.
Right.
When we develop that infrastructure, it will heavily infringe and touch on the trade and our people. That's what we are looking for. So it's a project that we desire as a nation, and hopefully it will be faster than what we think. I was in Tanzania, and I saw their standard gauge railway. I think they have done the best in East Africa.
Yes. In
terms of the speed of the engines, I think they are doing 160 compared to Kenya here, I think, which is 120, 140. And there are issues of, when we talk about standard gauge, it's about the space of the wheels and the whatever the railway is all about. I think Tanzania, we needed to harmonize, first of all, as East Africa.
Yeah.
Our claim is that we want to integrate, and these infrastructure should have been the same, so that when a train lands from Kenya, lands on a railway in Tanzania, there are no issues. That's what we should be doing.
Right.
But when I look at what we are doing, it's not yet harmonized, and there are issues there. But on, going back to your question, in terms of funding,
yes,
there are many options that we have as a nation in terms of funding. Most of our projects, the huge projects that have been funded by the World Bank, by the IMF, and by the Chinese, and the East African Development Bank of recent. You know, for us, we had issues in terms of the World Bank because we enacted the anti-homosexual law. Yes. And we are firm.
The very controversial one.
It's a controversial one, but we are firm on it. We are telling the West that these are our values, and we are not going to relegate anything in terms of our values. So it heavily affected our funding from the World Bank. Right now, we don't have new projects that are being funded by the World Bank because of that. But having said that, we are still firm. There are many other options. African Development Bank. The Chinese, their funding is always an option, but it's a very expensive funding.
Yeah, extremely.
We
are paying the price for
yes,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Kenya here, I know that they funded your infrastructure here, and you are paying out of nose. So I know that the government, previously, the last 2 years and a half, I was on a National Economic Committee, and we are that economic committee, we are the ones that tease out and assess the loans. So there are many options. I hope government will come up with the best option in terms of, the loan, issues, the requirements. There are always so many issues involved. But as a nation, I don't think we have that cash from the budget to fund it, because it's a huge project. It's a huge project. We are doing another infrastructure that is going to connect to Kenya. We are doing an express highway from Kampala to Jinja, and then later on we think that will facilitate transport, because from Jinja to Malaba, as I said, it's our main gateway, so we must have the right infrastructure. Yeah. Yes, we need to look at the bigger picture in terms of, I know that the railway infrastructure will improve in terms of the cost of transport, the volumes, and that is a bigger issue. But for the small traders on the border, there will always be railway stations. There's no way a train can come from Nairobi and then ends in Kampala. There will be an interlink, a railway station at Malaba, at Busia. We have been having issues which I thought that our viewers would be interested in. Issues between us, Kenya. Sometimes, we bring here many goods, milk, eggs, poultry, and sometimes there is this protectionism, which sometimes is healthy, because if there is a bump harvest, for instance, there's a bumper production in Kenya, any government would want to protect their own citizens. But we need to reach a level as East Africa community where goods and services flow without any barrier. So as long as we still keep those small barriers, they're going to affect in the long run our trade and our economy. So we need to be firm as the East African community and agree on free trade, agree on free movement of professionalism, of services, of goods, so that a Kenyan should be able to trade in Uganda without any barrier. These are small countries, they are still tiny economies. Kenya 106 billion, Uganda 50 billion. We are not yet there. That is small money in New York. The richest man in the whole world, Elon Musk, is richer than Uganda and Kenya combined, and even Tanzania. Currencies, they facilitate trade, and also, as I've said, our trade bloc is very small. If you are going to, move in terms of competitiveness, we recently brought on DRC Congo. I've seen we have brought on Somalia. Hopefully that their security settles down. I think we should be looking forward to a mega entry of Ethiopia. That will be a big thing, with almost going to 100 million people. So that will make our bloc a little bit viable, because currently our bloc, we may be coming to, by 2050, maybe we'll be in over 500 people, 500 million people, but that is not the purchasing power. The purchasing power should improve in terms of the monies, the GDP, and those tools of currencies, single currency, free movement, free trade. I mean, this trade, lifting all the trade, removing the trade barriers,
right,
will facilitate our economy as a bloc when we look at it as one. And you know, these investors who have money, they want to look at beyond Kenya. They want to look at beyond Uganda. They want to look at the bigger market. So the more we, harmonize, that's the more we bring this community together, and it becomes a viable, option for investors. And the more FDI we get, the more jobs, the more we grow our economy, because money is elsewhere. You must attract it to the economy. And some of those tools are very critical to facilitate our trade and our harmonization.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity and the space.
Indeed, incredible insights right there from Dr. Abed Bwanika.